Welcome to Fresh Out of 88. You are with the Supreme Leader. I'm going to give it a few minutes for some people to come in here. Meanwhile, we're going to do a sound check. Can we do a sound check, please? Sound check, please. Yeah, terrible news. Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, bad, assassinated today. Sad news, very sad news. Um, I want to send out, you know, prayers to his family, loved ones, all his supporters. You know, it's real devastating. I watched it and I was just like, damn. I didn't agree with a lot of his views. I didn't agree with the majority of his views. However, I don't think nobody deserved to go out like that, like without a you know, without a, just without nothing. Don't even see it coming. Nothing. Do we got Sam? That's the question. Do we have Sam? Is the question. That's the question. Do we have Sam? Yes, we have Sam. That's the question. Yes, we have Sam. Thank you. We have Sam. Sam, we have. All right, yeah, so it's very sad news. And the first thing I want to do is I want to do a moment of silence for Mr. Charlie, if that's possible. If we can do a quick moment of silence for Mr. Charlie Kirk. And we're going to start that right now. Do a couple minutes, moment of silence. All right, I'm back. And we just had a moment of silence with Mr. Charlie Kirk. I'm back. Yep, we just had a moment of silence for Mr. Charlie Kirk. So look, let's talk about it. All right, if we're gonna dig deep, we're gonna dig deep into who Mr. Charlie Kirk was, right? If we're gonna do anything, we got to dig into who Mr. Charlie Kirk was. So, matter of fact, who was Mr. Charlie Kirk? Who was Mr. Charlie Kirk? Can somebody answer that for me? Who was Mr. Charlie Kirk? Let's find out, shall we? Who is this guy? And we ain't gonna use no post-mortem video. We're gonna use something uh, from when he was alive, what people thought about him when he was alive, you know? We're not gonna use nothing post-mortem. We're gonna use what people said when he was alive. You dig? So let's get right into it. But no further ado. Right here. Hopefully the sound's right. Um, yeah, let's get into it. So, Mr. Charlie Kirk, who was he? What was he like? You know, let's find out.
Kirk was born in Arlington Heights, Illinois in 1993. He spent his formative years in a northern suburb of Chicago called Prospect Heights. Kirk spent his early years reading the works of Milton Friedman, a staunch capitalist and economist, quickly learning which party he subscribed to. He attended high school in the northwest suburb of Chicago at Wheeling High. In high school, Kirk volunteered for Mark Kirk's Senate campaign, making phone calls on his behalf. Despite their last names, the two share no relation, but might share a similar ideology. In 2005, long before Charlie went to work for him, Mark Kirk said he was okay with discrimination against young Arab males from terrorist-producing states. When his senior year rolled around, Kirk and a few buddies boycotted the school's cafeteria for raising the price of a cookie from a quarter to 50 cents. The school was taking advantage of capitalism, something Kirk deeply subscribes to until it affected him. He created a Facebook group for the cookie cause where he wrote, "Together we can show the establishment the power of our generation. Cookies are the highlight of most school days, only to be doubled in price without our consultation. No, enough of the manipulation. We must stand together in this fight. Fight the power." The boycott worked, and the school sold cookies at 25 cents a pop. The same year, Kirk wrote a piece for Breitbart called "Liberal Bias Starts in Economic Textbooks." In his piece, Kirk argues that our classrooms are slowly becoming political lecture halls, with teachers being pawns to further the doctrine of liberalism and equality. That pesky, pesky equality.
As a senior in high school, in a public institution, indoctrination factory, whatever you want to call it, in Chicago, Illinois, I had teachers that openly were Marxists and socialists.
After Cookiegate and his published piece in Breitbart, Kirk had enough bona fides to land a speaking engagement at Benedictine University in Chicago, where his life would change forever. The college was holding a youth government day, and Charlie Kirk was one of the speakers, and he apparently perked up the young folks in the audience. So much so that he caught the eye of Bill Montgomery, a then-retired Greater Chicago area-based marketer almost twice Kirk's age. Montgomery advised Kirk he should skip college and then said, "I don't know you, but you need to start an organization to reach out to young people with your message." In 2012, just a month after they met, the two launched Turning Point USA, a nonprofit conservative activist organization with a heavy focus on students and waging political warfare on campuses. The organization paints itself as a grassroots movement, but that's a stretch considering it has raised millions of dollars from Republican mega donors, GOP politicians, and other wealthy right-wingers and organizations, including $50,000 from the foundation of the nation's largest private prison company, which also owns and operates ICE detention facilities. Kirk knows young Americans are one of the most diverse and progressive age groups in American history, which is why he and his deep pocket backers have launched over 800 chapters of Turning Point USA, also known as TP USA, on college and high school campuses across the country.
When students on college campuses wear those beautiful Make America Great Again hats. And I'll tell you, if you want to be a rebel on a college campus, wearing a Bernie Sanders shirt will get you thumbs up, high fives, and invites to all the coolest parties. You want to be a rebel, wear that hat on a college campus.
But long before Kirk wasn't getting invited to the coolest parties in town for donning a MAGA hat, he couldn't even imagine rocking one. In an interview with Wired in 2016, prior to Trump's nomination, Kirk said he is not the biggest Donald Trump fan in the world. He said Trump's potential presidency would make his goal harder. People are going to brand us and loop us in that bucket like, "Oh, you're the Donald Trump group. We're going to have to fight back against that."
I don't understand how he thinks he's going to bring the party together when in an interview with CNN, he keeps on calling Ted Cruz Lion Ted.
Kirk is now the chairman of Turning Point USA's college campus arm called Students for Trump. He's become one of Trump's most ardent supporters and frequently sits down with the president and his family for discussions put on by Turning Point.
I want to thank my great friend, and he's a young friend. He's a pretty young guy, Charlie Kirk. I said, "How old are you, Charlie?"
Trump's favorite son, Don Jr., is also a fan of Kirk. There's a giant quote from Jr. on TPUSA's website. "I'm convinced that the work of Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk will win back the future of America." But with friends in high places comes a critical spotlight on the organization. In a New Yorker article by Jane Mayer, she spoke with former minority members of TPUSA's staff who talked about the widespread discrimination and racism going on at Kirk's organization. In one screenshot obtained by Mayer, a text message from TPUSA's former National Field Director, Crystal Clanton, to another TPUSA employee reads, "I hate black people. Like them all. I hate blacks. End of story." Kirk told the New Yorker, Turning Point assessed the situation and took decisive action within 72 hours of being made aware of the issue, and Clanton resigned shortly after. But Kirk once claimed that Clanton was the best hire they ever made, and that America needs more people like her. Hired in her place was a woman who once tweeted, "If you're a race other than white, I promise to make racist jokes toward you," and tweeted out the N-word multiple times. TPUSA reportedly cut ties with her too. In another instance, Mayer spoke to the only black field director who claimed she and the other black recruits she introduced to the organization were disinvited from TPUSA's annual student summit. She was fired on Martin Luther King Day. The president of the University of Las Vegas's chapter of TPUSA was fired after video footage surfaced online of him giving the alt-right okay hand signal while his friend screams, "White power, fuck, N-words." TPUSA's director for high school outreach resigned amid the leaking of documents where he wrote the N-word multiple times and said he was going to make a map of Stoneman Douglas High School in the shooting video game Counter-Strike and practice.
On behalf of my entire administration, thank you to everyone at Turning Point USA's Teen Student Action Summit.
While Kirk has seemingly cut ties with all of these folks, it's revealing that explicitly racist people flock to him and his organization. It might be because of tweets like this from the man himself. It would take 40 years worth of blacks killed by cops to equal the number of black killed by other blacks in 1 year. Whatever you think of Kirk, he seems to understand the politics of college students, despite never really attending college himself. If Trump wins re-election, it won't be without the help from Kirk and the deep pockets of his quote-unquote movement. A movement in part conceived from a fight for affordable cookies in Kirk's high school. It's just unclear if he has the right recipe to transform the future of America.
Hey, thanks for watching Who Is. Did you know we have a podcast now too? On Who Is, the podcast, I'll dive deep into the fascinating life.
All right, so that was pretty cool, man. The boy, what's his name? Charlie. I don't know. Maybe I should have watched that video before I put that in the zone because that really didn't tell you who he was. You know what I'm saying? But I got other videos, but I don't know. That ain't really tell me much about him. Like, I don't feel like I got adequate enough information about him to even have an opinion based off of that video. I mean, that video was pretty much just saying that he messed with Trump. That's in a nutshell what that video was saying. Now, when we get into a deeper conversation, you know, we could say, this guy was good or this guy was bad. Yes. So, but the big question is, who did it and why? That's the big question is who did it and why. So when you look at the manner in which he was murked out, slain mercilessly on college campus in Utah, way up in the Rockies, far out there, about 2,000 feet probably above the Great Salt Lake. You gotta ask, like his message really wasn't that bad. Like, yeah, it was clearly biased toward minorities. It was possibly some hate, definitely staring, being divisive, but nobody just in front of the kids. The kids going to see the video. Nobody deserved that. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemies. But that's who Charlie Kirk was. So at this point, honestly, I feel like it's time to start talking about his impact. Charlie Kirk, I mean, just look at what he did. He galvanized young Americans. Whether you agree with how and why, under what ideas he brought them together, that's here nor there. That's just debate. That's pointless to talk about it. But he was able to bring the young people together, men and women, young boys and young girls together. And in a few years, Charlie was going to have real power. They're going to be looking at Charlie like he the Martin Luther King of the white people. There's a group of white people that think that their rights is being infringed upon and think that, that they're the minority. There's a group of white people out there, and that's who his people is. So no, I can't knock him for speaking for his people, because that's what people do. They speak for their people. I think that this should be a wake-up call to all leaders. If you're a leader, this is the future for leaders. Like, if you're really trying to bring about cultural change nowadays, this is what can happen to you. I mean, this man was out there debating with kids, and to be shot like that, that's just not, that don't sit right with me. Now, I knew who he was from the video clips I seen, the race baiting clips that he did, but that's nobody deserved that. Nobody deserved that. So yeah, man, real disturbing, super disturbing. Super disturbing. Super disturbing. You gotta ask yourself, man, is anybody safe? Is anybody safe anywhere? This man was speaking to college kids on a college campus, and to be executed publicly, I mean, that's the impact. That is the impact of that. The impact is who's safe and who's not. Who's the villains and who's, innocent. At the end of the day, that's what this is going to come down to. And like I said, we're not going to get into what Charlie did or what, we're not going to get into all that on Charlie. Poor Charlie. But they hit him up like that. Y'all seen it? I knew it was over as soon as I seen it. You don't take a shot like that. And, so prayers out to Charlie family. Make sure when you see this, you share this, you make this go viral. I'm in the lab, I'm cooking. I'm trying to serve the streets up what they need. I'm trying to bring the streets really what the streets need. I'm doing my best. Like, who but me? If anybody was going to do it, who would do it? You tell me, I'm gonna take the shades off, because I really lived this. I really lived this. And look, I'm not with none of the beef. I'm not with none of the drama. Like, I do what I do. I be where I be. I handle my business. You know what I mean? For a man to get shot like that, that's that I ain't safe. For anything that I might say. That mean you ain't safe. That mean we ain't safe from a loony with a gun. A loony with a gun could take any one of us out at any given time for saying any given thing. So there's no freedom of speech no more. That's out the window. You gotta watch what you say. You can't even talk to kids. You can't be influenced. That gets you out of there. That gets you out of there. I'm gonna end this on that note. Supreme.